Imagine being a schizophrenic patient, waking up in a hospital after a severe episode where you completely destroyed your own room. Why? Simply because your mind convinced you that you were trapped in a dark, terrifying forest with a black shadow chasing you. And of course, all of this horror happened just because you stopped taking your medication. This is exactly what happened to our protagonist, Rain. After a session with her psychiatrist, Rain returns home and is welcomed by her neighbor, who also happens to be her school teacher, with a normally friendly greeting. But the real shock awaits her at school. Rain literally turns into a social outcast. Even her closest friend abandons her after everyone finds out about her mental illness. But luckily, a new guy named Caleb appears at school. He sits with her, and with his charming, sweet way, he manages to make her laugh and win her admiration. On her way back home, Rain stops to buy her medication, and right there she notices her neighbor staring at her with a super weird look. Rain keeps walking normally until she passes by the cemetery. Suddenly, she's shocked to see the exact same black shadow from her hallucinations kidnapping a little girl. She runs to check, but finds absolutely no one. She goes home and takes her pills like a good girl. But the next shock comes from her bedroom window at night. She looks at her neighbor's attic window and sees a little girl crying and screaming for help. Rain is stunned. Is all of this just a hallucination, or is what she saw actually real? The next day at school, Rain meets Caleb, who offers to give her a ride. And on the way, it starts raining heavily, and Rain's hallucinations begin to trigger her anxiety and tension. Caleb doesn't fully understand her illness, but he notices she is deeply distressed. Despite that, he drops her off and she tells him this is the best day I've ever had in a very long time. Caleb's heart melts, feeling relieved after thinking she was upset with him. In the same night, the sound of the girl's screams returns. Rain hears it and tells her parents, but her mother and father doesn't believe her at all. To comfort her, her father takes her the next day to the neighbor's house. The neighbor completely denies the existence of any child. Rain insists on entering the attic, and to her surprise, she finds lots of children's toys and a strange box, even though the neighbor has no children. Rain stubbornly argues with her father, getting into a fight because he won't believe her. But he tries to calm her down, explaining that he is terrified the neighbor might file a complaint against her, which could lock Rain up in a mental asylum. Rain tries to move on with her life normally, cooking with her parents and trying to survive despite the constant hallucinations. At school, she hears students whispering about her on the street everywhere. She even sees police patrols, gets terrified and hides. Caleb spots her, and she tells him that her neighbor kidnapped the little girl and definitely reported her to the police. She skips her therapy session for this day and convinces Caleb to break into the neighbor's house with her. Indeed, they sleep inside, but out of bad luck, the neighbor arrives and enters the house while the two are hiding. They somehow manage to escape without her noticing him. Rain returns home and sits with her mother, who tries to reason with her, planting doubts in her mind that Caleb might be even real, but just another hallucination. We feel Rain's terror in that moment, but she ignores the thought. The next day, she meets Caleb. They go out together and have a great time. At the end of the day, they go back to the school's computer lab to search for missing young girls. And the shocker, they actually find the little girl Rain saw among the missing children. Now, Rain is million% sure that the girl is real and actually there. As Rain walks out of the computer lab, she finds her old friend crying. starting to have a severe panic attack. Rain tries to calm her down and explain what's happening, but the girl screams at her. Because of her screaming, all the students rush out of their classroom into the hallway. The girl yells at her, "Just because you are crazy and schizophrenic doesn't mean everyone else is crazy too." Rain is completely shattered by the students' judging stares and the girl's harsh words. Caleb is also standing there, hearing for the first time that Rain has schizophrenia. But his reaction is incredibly sweet. He completely accepts her, treats her normally, and wakes her home. Her father surprises her by finishing the renovation of her bedroom, but she refuses to sleep in it, choosing instead to stay in the guest room because its window overlooks the neighbor's attic. At night, she hears her mother crying. She finds her opening a box of her baby stuff, weeping over her daughter being sick and fearing for her future. After this emotional moment, Rain actually starts believing her mother's word that Caleb is just a hallucination. The next day at school, she completely ignores him, and instead of handing in her exam paper, she gives the teacher, who is the neighbor herself unfortunately, a drawing of the attic window with the girl inside. That same night, Caleb visits her. He tries to prove to her that he is real and convinces his feelings for her. Jane is finally convinced, and they decide to break into the neighbor's house for the second time. But by mistake, Caleb breaks the basement window. Caleb managed to run away, but Rain is the one who gets seen. Of course, the neighbor doesn't stay quiet. She immediately calls the police, and the police arrive at Rain's house with her father, showing him her drawing and telling him she tries to break into the house. The issue is resolved with a strict warning. If she makes any further move against the neighbor, she will be officially locked up in an asylum. Rain's father loses his mind with anger. He grabs Rain violently, forcing her to take her medication. In a moment of madness, Rain swallows the entire bottle. So, her father slaps her with a six-dimensional slap. He immediately apologizes, crying that he just doesn't want her to die or lose her. The next day, she sees Caleb again, who had run away like a coward. He goes back home with her and they sit down to plan how to rescue the girl. But Rain's mother walks in and starts talking to them. Caleb acts very strangely, stands up, and leaves. Rain's hallucinations after that and an anxiety intensively because she feels crushed by guilt that the girl will die while she stays silent doing nothing. She tries to reach her psychiatrist but can't find her, so she goes back home as her condition worsens. Her mother holds her and calms her down. Rain goes back to her room, locks the door behind her, and tries to open the window to jump out and run to the neighbor's house, but her father busts in and stops her. She blames her mother for telling him, but his response leaves her paralyzed with shock. He tells her, "Your mother isn't even here." Rain is completely devastated. Her mother was just a hallucination. Her mother committed suicide a while ago, but Rain could never get over it. Her father reveals he was just playing along, pretending her mother was alive, because he couldn't bear to see her live through that grief all over again. In that second, Rain remembers how Caleb suddenly left when he saw her talking to empty air, realizing that she was truly hallucinating. Rain can't handle the crushing truth. She stands. She sends a text to Caleb telling him she is going into the neighbor's house anyway. She escapes from her father and runs next door. Suddenly, the neighbor appears in front of her, telling her that she already killed the little girl. But all of this is just happening inside her mind. and hallucinations. Rain stands up, enters the house, and rushes up to the attic, only to be horrified by the sight of her mother hanging from her neck. Rain pulls her down, but the hallucination opens her eyes and says, "This is all because of you. Everything is just hallucination." For the first time, Rain fights back, yelling at her mother that she is the one who isn't real and that she can finally distinguish reality. Her mother completely vanishes. Rain goes down to the basement, sneaks around, grabs the key, unlocks the door, and goes down searching for the girl until she finally finds her. But the neighbor senses someone is in the house and walks down into the terrifying basement. Rain hides with the girl, but the neighbor finds them. She tries to gaslight Rain, telling her there's no child and that she's just hallucinating. But Rain stands her ground, tightly holding into the girl. The neighbor finally gives up and tries to make a deal. If Rain goes back to home and leaves the girl, she won't call the police. In that exact moment, Rain grabs a scalpel from one of the shelves and threatens her with it. The neighbor lunges at her. Suddenly, Rain hears Caleb's voice from upstairs and screams his name. The neighbor tries to convince her that he is just hallucination and no one is calling her, but Caleb breaks in, tackles the neighbor away from Rain, and Rain manages to escape with the child. Caleb gets injured by the neighbor but managed to overpower her. Rain's father, who had already called the police, finds his daughter walking out of the house, carrying the little girl. Rain frantically tries to explain that Caleb is still inside, but her father hugs her, tearing up, completely believing that Caleb was just another part of her illness. Until Caleb finally walks out of the house. Her father is completely shocked, realizing that Caleb is actually real. Oh, what a joy for us! And what a joy for Rain that Caleb turned out to be real after all. Rain walks Caleb to the ambulance, where he asks her out on an official date, and Rain happily agrees. In the very last scenes of the movie, Rain and her father visits her mother's grave, and our movie ends today with Rain, who finally sleeps in peace, fully capable to distinguishing reality despite her illness and hallucinations. Stay tuned for our upcoming movies and don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye bye!